Before we dive in, it's important to remember that this video is for educational and informational purposes only. The world of college tuition and financial aid is complex and changes frequently. We are not financial advisors, and the information presented here should not be considered financial or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional and the admissions and financial aid offices of any university you are considering to get the most accurate and personalized information for your specific situation. What if I told you that two students living just 1 mile apart could pay a $50,000 difference for the exact same online degree, from the exact same professors in the exact same digital classroom? It sounds impossible, right? A glitch in the system. But it's not a glitch. It's a feature. And it's happening every single day to thousands of American students. The deciding factor? A simple invisible line drawn on a map. A state border. The student on one side of that line gets a bargain, while the student on the other side pays a premium that could fund a down payment on a house. This is the absurd reality of online university costs in the United States. We've been told that online education is the great equalizer, that it removes geographical barriers and makes learning accessible to everyone, everywhere. But that's only half the story. The truth is, your physical zip code, the place you log in from, is often the single most important factor determining your tuition bill. A digital price tag is tethered to your physical address, and most people have no idea how to untie it. That's what we're going to do in this series. We are going to pull back the curtain on this confusing and frankly unfair system. This isn't just about showing you a list of prices. This is about giving you a roadmap, a new way to think about your college search. We will break down, state by state, the hidden costs, the surprising discounts, and the game-changing strategies that can alter the financial trajectory of your education. By the end of this, you will understand why a student in Wyoming might get a better deal on a degree from a Florida university than a student in neighboring Georgia. You'll learn how to spot the hidden fees designed specifically for online students, and most importantly, you'll discover the secret weapon that very few people talk about: tuition reciprocity agreements. These are the keys that can unlock in-state tuition rates, even when you're hundreds of miles away. Think about someone we'll call Jessica. She lives in a small town in Southern Virginia and wants to get her online bachelor's in cybersecurity. Her dream school is a top-ranked public university in North Carolina, just a 45-minute drive away. She applies, gets in, and is thrilled. Then she sees the bill. As an out-of-state student, the tuition is nearly $40,000 a year. For an online program, she's devastated. It's completely unaffordable. She's about to give up and settle for a different, less prestigious program when a high school counselor mentions something called the academic common market. It turns out, because her specific degree program isn't offered by any public university in Virginia, a regional agreement allows her to attend the North Carolina school and pay their in-state tuition rate. The price drops from $40,000 a year to just under $9,000, a savings of over $120,000 for her 4-year degree. Same school, same degree, different price, all because of a rule she almost didn't find. Jessica's story isn't a lottery win. It's the result of understanding the 3 core pillars that determine online university costs. And once you understand them, you can navigate the system just like she did. The first pillar is the most obvious but also the most misunderstood: base tuition. This is the fundamental concept of in-state versus out-of-state pricing. Historically, this made perfect sense. Public universities were funded by state taxpayers. So, if you and your family were taxpayers in that state, you got a significant discount. You were paying for the brick-and-mortar campus, the libraries, the labs, the groundskeepers. It was a good deal for residents. Out-of-state students who didn't contribute to that tax base paid a much higher sticker price to make up the difference. But then the internet changed everything. When a student is 100% online, they aren't using the campus gym. They aren't checking out books from the library. They aren't walking on the beautifully manicured lawns. The entire justification for charging them a massive out-of-state premium seems to evaporate. The cost for the university to educate that online student from California is identical to the cost of educating an online student from down the street in their home state. It's the same server, the same learning management system, the same digital infrastructure. Yet, the price difference persists, and in many cases, it's enormous. Let's look at a real-world example. Consider Penn State's World Campus, one of the largest and most respected online universities. If you're a Pennsylvania resident taking a full course load, you might pay around $7,000 per semester. But if you live anywhere else, New Jersey, Ohio, anywhere, That price for the exact same online classes jumps to nearly $8,000 a semester. That's a $2,000 a year living somewhere else tax. And that's a relatively small gap. Now look at the University of Michigan, a world-class institution. An in-state student pursuing an online degree from their College of Literature, Science, and the Arts might pay around $8,000 per semester. An out-of-state student? Over $26,000 per semester. That's an $18,000 difference. For an online program, you could buy a brand new car every single semester for the difference in price. It's a pricing model that was built for a physical world, awkwardly and often unfairly retrofitted onto a digital one. The second pillar, which we'll explore in depth, is university fees. This is where the costs get sneaky. You've navigated the in-state and out-of-state tuition, but then you get hit with a technology fee, a distance learning fee, an online proctoring fee, or a student services fee for services you as an online student will never use. Some universities are notorious for this, adding thousands of dollars in fees that can turn an affordable-looking tuition rate into a financial trap. And the third pillar, the one that holds the most potential for savings, is what we call regional reciprocity. This is the secret Jessica discovered. These are powerful alliances between states that agree to offer in-state or heavily discounted tuition rates to each other's residents, often for specific online programs. There are 4 major compacts covering almost the entire country: the Western Undergraduate Exchange, the Midwest Student Exchange Program, the Southern Regional Education Board's Academic Common Market, and the New England Regional Student Program. Understanding which states belong to which compact and what the rules are is like having a treasure map to find buried discounts. So the game is not just about finding the cheapest sticker price. It's about understanding the interplay between these 3 pillars. It's about finding a university where the base tuition is reasonable, the fees are transparent and low, and critically, where your state of residence might give you access to a powerful reciprocity discount. This is how you transform your college search from a frustrating maze into a strategic mission. You stop asking, "What's the best online school?" and you start asking, "What's the best online school for someone living in my state?" The answer to that second question can save you a fortune. We've laid the groundwork. We see the problem. A system where your physical location dictates your digital price. We see the core components: base tuition, hidden fees, and regional reciprocity. Now it's time to put this knowledge into action. We need to start mapping the terrain, identifying the danger zones and the opportunities. And that begins with understanding where the costs are highest, where the out-of-state penalties are the most severe. Because before you can find the best deals, you have to know which states to approach with extreme caution. So let's start with the states that make you pay a premium, the ones where the digital welcome mat comes with a hefty price tag. Topping this list, often to the surprise of many, are not the sprawling states with massive university systems, but smaller, more boutique states. Think of New England. States like Vermont and New Hampshire consistently find themselves at the peak of out-of-state tuition costs, and their online programs are no exception. Let's take Vermont. The University of Vermont might offer a fantastic online program, but for an out-of-state student, the tuition can hover in a range that's comparable to a private university. We're talking about a potential cost of over $40,000 per year for a bachelor's degree. You might be sitting in your apartment in Texas, logging into the exact same portal as a student in Burlington, but you could be paying a penalty of $25,000 or more for the privilege. Why? It comes down to a simple, brutal piece of public policy logic. Taxpayers in Vermont subsidize their state university. You, as a student from Texas, have not paid into that system. So the university charges you what they calculate as the true cost of your education, plus a little extra. It's an economic wall built to protect a state's investment in its own residents. Then you have a state like Pennsylvania. This one is a bit more complex. Pennsylvania has a vast state system with many affordable options, but it's also home to a powerhouse, Penn State's World Campus. This is one of the oldest, most respected online university platforms in the country. And with that reputation comes a premium price. They've built a brand and they charge for it. The out-of-state tuition for a Penn State online degree isn't just a small step up. It's a significant leap. You're not just paying for the classes, you're paying for the name on the diploma, a name that carries weight globally. This introduces a critical factor in our cost comparison: prestige. A highly ranked flagship state university, like Penn State, the University of Michigan, or the University of Virginia, will often export its on-campus pricing model directly to its online offerings. They operate on the belief that the value of their degree is the same, whether you earned it in a lecture hall in Ann Arbor or at your kitchen table in Arizona. And from a branding perspective, they're not wrong. But from a cost perspective, it creates a massive barrier. This is the prestige trap. You see a top 20 public university offering the exact online degree you want. You get excited, but then you see the price tag, and it's nearly identical for out-of-state online students as it is for out-of-state on-campus students. You're paying for the manicured lawns, the multi-million-dollar student union, and the state-of-the-art research labs, even though you will never set foot in them. You're subsidizing an experience you are not a part of. States like Michigan, Virginia, and even some University of California schools, while offering world-class education, often apply this exact logic. They see their online programs not as a tool for affordable mass education, but as a brand extension, a new market for their premium product. The out-of-state penalty in these cases can be staggering, often doubling or even tripling the in-state rate. It's a fundamental philosophical difference. Some states view online education as a public good, a way to extend access and affordability. Others view it as a revenue stream, a way to attract dollars from outside their borders without having to build a new dorm. And the states that view it as a revenue stream are the ones you need to be most careful about. So, the first category of high-cost states are the ones with big-name, high-prestige flagship universities that charge a premium for their brand. But there's a second category, and it's a little more subtle. These are states that may not have a single, globally recognized university, but their entire system is structured in a way that heavily penalizes non-residents. States like Connecticut and Massachusetts, again in the Northeast, often have high across-the-board costs. Their regional state universities, not just their flagships, can have out-of-state tuition rates for online programs that are higher than the in-state rates at some of the most prestigious universities in other parts of the country. This happens because the overall cost of living and cost of government in these states is high. Funding for higher education is a constant battle. So, when they set their tuition, they see out-of-state students as an easy target to help balance the budget. There's no political downside within their state for charging someone from Florida more money. It's a silent tax on educational ambition. Let's break down the warning signs, the red flags you should look for when you're browsing a university's website. First, look for the words, flagship university. If the school is the primary, oldest, or most prestigious public university in its state, your out-of-state alarm bells should start ringing. Second, check the school's overall national ranking. While a high ranking is great for your resume, it's often directly correlated with a higher out-of-state price tag. The more desirable the school, the more they can charge for access. Third, look at the geography. States in the Northeast and on the West Coast tend to have higher costs of living, which translates into higher operational costs for universities, and ultimately, higher tuition for everyone, especially non-residents. And here's a pro tip. Don't just look at the tuition per credit hour. Dig deeper. Look for the fees. This is where the hidden costs live. You might find a technology fee, a distance learning fee, or even an online campus infrastructure fee. These can add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to your bill each semester. Some of the most expensive states are masters at this, advertising a seemingly reasonable per credit cost, and then burying the real price in a long list of mandatory fees. It's the same strategy as the airline that advertises a $99 flight, and then charges you for your seat, your bag, and the air you breathe. You have to calculate the fully loaded cost to get a true comparison. So the landscape for an out-of-state online student can look pretty bleak in states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Virginia. You're facing a double-edged sword. The high-prestige schools that charge for their brand and the high cost of living states that pass their expenses on to you. It feels like the system is designed to keep you out, to penalize you for living on the wrong side of a state line. It can be incredibly discouraging. You might find the perfect program at your dream school, only to realize it's financially out of reach for no other reason than your zip code. But here's the critical thing to remember. This is not the whole story. For every state that builds a financial wall, there's another that opens a gate. For every university that charges a prestige tax, there's another that has made a deliberate choice to compete for students based on value. These states and institutions have recognized the immense potential of online education to break down geographic barriers, not reinforce them. They've looked at the out-of-state penalty and asked a revolutionary question. What if we just didn't do that? What if we created a single flat-rate tuition for all online students, regardless of where they live? This is not a fantasy. These places exist. They are the hidden gems in the system. They are the schools that are actively recruiting students from all 50 states by offering something their high-priced competitors cannot: a fair price. We've just navigated the most expensive, treacherous territories on the map of American online education. We've seen the pitfalls, the prestige traps, and the hidden fees. Now it's time to change course. It's time to look for the safe harbors. We're going to explore the states that have flipped the script, the ones that offer flat-rate tuition, special e-tuition rates, or are part of regional compacts that slash costs for non-residents. This is where the game changes. This is where you, the savvy student, can find a top-tier education at a price that actually makes sense. Let's start with the biggest secret weapon in this whole game: the regional compacts. This is a concept so powerful, yet so few people know about it. Imagine the United States is divided into 4 massive regions: the West, the South, the Midwest, and the Northeast. Now imagine the states within each of these regions made a pact, a handshake deal, to share their educational resources. They agreed that if a student in one member state wants to enroll in a specific online program that isn't offered back home, another member state will let them in, not as an out-of-state student, but at a significantly reduced tuition rate, often close to the in-state price. This isn't a myth. It's real, and it's been around for decades. These compacts have official names. In the West, it's the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, or WICH. In the South, it's the Southern Regional Education Board, or SREB. The Midwest has the Midwestern Higher Education Compact, MHEC, and the Northeast has the New England Board of Higher Education, NEB. These aren't just acronyms. They are your potential ticket to tens of thousands of dollars in savings. Think about why this exists. A state like, say, Wyoming might not have the resources to build a world-class, highly specialized program in marine biology. Just doesn't make sense. But a coastal state in the same compact like Oregon does, through which a Wyoming resident can enroll in Oregon State's renowned online marine biology program and pay a fraction of the out-of-state cost. It's a win-win. Wyoming doesn't have to spend millions developing a program for a handful of students, and Oregon gets a qualified, motivated student to fill a seat. You, the student, get the biggest win of all: access to a premier program without the premier price tag. Let's make this tangible. The SREBS program is called the Academic Common Market. Let's say you live in Mississippi and you want to get a bachelor's degree in data science analytics, but no public university in your state offers that exact program online. You do a search on the SREB website and discover that the University of West Florida offers that exact degree. Because both Mississippi and Florida are members of the SREB, you could potentially enroll in that program and pay Florida's in-state tuition. The difference is staggering. For an online undergraduate student, the non-resident tuition at the University of West Florida could be over $600 per credit hour. The in-state rate? Closer to $200. For a full 120 credit degree, that's a potential difference of nearly $50,000. That's not a discount, that's a different life. That's the difference between graduating with a mountain of debt and graduating with a manageable, or even non-existent, financial burden. This isn't just for obscure degrees either. We're talking about high-demand fields like cybersecurity, nursing, computer engineering, and supply chain management. The key is that your home state has to lack that specific program. It's a bit of a treasure hunt, requiring you to check the databases on these compact websites, but the treasure is very, very real. Now, beyond the compacts, we enter the second major territory of savings. States that have simply made a strategic decision to compete nationally for online students by offering a single flat e-tuition rate to everyone, regardless of where they live. These are the unsung heroes of affordable online education. They've looked at the landscape and said, geography is irrelevant online. Let's just offer a fair price to anyone with an internet connection. A prime example is North Dakota. It might not be the first state that comes to mind for higher education, but its university system has poured resources into its online infrastructure. Several of their state universities offer the same online tuition rate to a student in California or Texas as they do to a student in Fargo. And these rates are often incredibly competitive. We're talking about per credit costs that can be half or even a third of what you might pay at a larger, more well-known state school in your own backyard. Consider a university like Minot State in North Dakota. You can find undergraduate online programs for around $350 a credit hour. That's it. No out-of-state penalty. No hidden fees based on your zip code. Compare that to a flagship university in a state like Virginia or Michigan. where non-resident online tuition can easily soar past $1,000 a credit hour. The math isn't complicated. By choosing a school in a state that has adopted this flat rate model, you could be looking at a total degree cost of under $40,000 versus well over $100,000 for the exact same type of accredited degree elsewhere. And let's talk about accreditation, because this is the question everyone asks. Is a degree from a less famous state university worth as much? The answer lies in one word: accreditation. All of the public universities we're discussing are regionally accredited. That is the gold standard in the United States. A degree from the University of Wyoming, which has some fantastic online programs at a great price, is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. A degree from Penn State is also accredited by a regional body. That accreditation is what makes your credits transferable, what makes your degree recognized by employers and graduate schools. The name on the diploma might be different, but the quality assurance behind it, the accreditation, is the same. The diploma doesn't say Discount Online Degree. It just says Bachelor of Science from University X. Another state that plays this game exceptionally well is Arkansas. Arkansas State University, for example, has built a massive and well-respected online campus. They are aggressive in their pricing, offering highly competitive e-tuition rates to students everywhere. You can find bachelor's degrees in fields like digital technology, strategic communication, and business administration for well under $300 a credit hour. This isn't a special sale. It's their standard operating procedure. They've made a calculated choice to prioritize access and affordability, and it creates an incredible opportunity for students who are willing to look beyond their own state lines. This strategy completely flips the traditional college search on its head. For a century, the advice was to find the best school you could get into, then figure out how to pay for it. The new model, the SMART model for online education, is to find the best price for the accredited degree you want regardless of location. Your campus is your laptop. Your quad is your living room. Why should you pay a premium based on a physical location you will never, ever visit? It forces you to ask a fundamental question. What are you actually paying for? Are you paying for the name, the football team, the beautiful, ivy-covered buildings? Or are you paying for an education, a credential, and a pathway to a better career, delivered by qualified professors from an accredited institution? If it's the latter, then these hidden gem states, the Dakotas, the Wyomings, the Arkansas of the world, suddenly look like the smartest choices on the map. They are offering the same core product, accredited education, without the inflated sticker price. This is the disruption. This is the arbitrage opportunity in higher education that savvy students are starting to discover and leverage to build a future that isn't defined by debt. But even within these low-cost states, there's another layer to peel back. The cost can change dramatically, not just based on the university, but on the specific program you choose, and even how that program is delivered. Let's take a closer look at that idea. Imagine two students both enrolling in the exact same online university, say a large, well-regarded public institution like the University of Florida's online program, or Arizona State University Online. Both are in-state residents, so they get the same base tuition rate per credit hour. On paper, their costs should be identical, right? Not even close. Our first student, let's call her Amelia, decides to pursue a Bachelor of Arts in English. Our second student, we'll call him Ben, is enrolling in the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. From day one, their financial paths diverge dramatically. Amelia's program primarily involves reading, writing, and online discussion forums. Her required materials are mostly digital textbooks or library resources. The technology she needs is basic: a reliable laptop and an internet connection. Her per-credit cost is the university's baseline rate, with very few additional fees. Now look at Ben. His nursing program has a similar baseline tuition per credit, but that's just the starting point. His curriculum requires access to sophisticated virtual simulation labs to practice clinical skills. That's a technology fee. He needs to purchase a specific package of nursing equipment, a stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, scrubs, and more. That's an equipment fee. Before he can begin his clinical rotations at a local hospital, he has to pay for a comprehensive background check, a drug screening, and liability insurance. Those are administrative fees. And then there are the clinical placement fees themselves, which the university charges to coordinate and oversee his hands-on training. By the end of their first semester, Ben has already spent hundreds, possibly over $1,000 more than Amelia, despite paying the exact same price per credit hour. This is the single biggest misconception students have when budgeting for online college. They see the advertised per credit cost and multiply it by the number of credits. But the reality is, the major you choose is one of the biggest drivers of your total cost. Programs in fields like healthcare, engineering, computer science, and even the fine arts are almost always more expensive. Why? Because they require more resources. An online engineering program might require you to buy a specific kit of electronics for a circuits class or pay for access to high-powered, cloud-based rendering software for a CAD course. A graphic design program will almost certainly require a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, which is a significant monthly expense, not to mention the expectation that you have a powerful computer and maybe a drawing tablet capable of running the software smoothly. These costs are rarely included in the tuition. They are line items listed under program fees or simply expected expenses. On the other hand, degrees in the humanities, social sciences, business administration, and communications tend to have fewer built-in costs. The resources are primarily digital texts, academic journals, and collaboration software, which are often covered by a standard university-wide technology fee that everyone pays. There's no virtual lab, no clinical placement, no specialized software license that adds hundreds of dollars to your bill each semester. So, when you're looking at a university's online offerings, you have to dig deeper than the homepage. Find the specific degree plan or program curriculum page for the major you're interested in. Scroll down to the bottom and look for a link that says Tuition and Fees, Cost of Attendance, or Program-Specific Costs. This is where the truth lies. A university in a low-cost state like Wyoming might seem like a bargain, but if their online engineering program has heavy lab fees, it could potentially end up costing more than a business degree from a university in a higher-cost state like Massachusetts. But it gets even more complex. The cost isn't just determined by what you study, but how you study it. This brings us to the delivery method. Most people think online college is one monolithic thing, but there are crucial differences. The two big models are asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous learning is what most people picture. Lectures are pre-recorded, assignments have weekly deadlines, and you can complete the work whenever it fits your schedule. At 10 p.m. after the kids are in bed, or at 5 a.m. before you head to your day job. This flexibility is the main draw. For students who need to maintain a full-time job to pay for school, an asynchronous program is a financial lifeline. It allows them to keep earning a steady income, which dramatically lowers the net cost and the need for student loans. Synchronous learning, on the other hand, tries to replicate the traditional classroom experience online. You are required to log in at specific times for live lectures and class discussions via video conference. While this offers more structure and direct interaction with professors and peers, it can be a major financial hurdle. If you have to be in a live, virtual class every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., that severely limits your ability to work a standard 9-to-5 job. You might have to switch to part-time work, take a lower-paying job with a more flexible schedule, or quit altogether. The tuition cost might be the same as an asynchronous program, but the opportunity cost, the lost income, can be tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your degree. And then there's the hybrid model, or low residency program. These are often marketed as mostly online, but they require you to travel to campus for a few days or a week once or twice a semester. This is common in graduate programs or hands-on undergraduate fields. While it provides invaluable face-to-face networking and instruction, it's a massive hidden cost. You're not just paying tuition, you're paying for airfare or gas, a hotel room, meals, and taking time off work. A program at a university in a state across the country might look affordable on paper, but when you factor in 4 cross-country trips a year, the price tag can balloon by thousands. A slightly more expensive, fully online program in your home state might actually be the cheaper option. Let's put this all together with another quick example. Meet David from Illinois and Maria from Oregon. Both want to become data analysts. David finds a fully asynchronous online data analytics program at a public university in Florida. The out-of-state tuition is reasonable. Because it's asynchronous, he can continue working his 40-hour-week job, using his salary to pay for a large chunk of his tuition as he goes. Maria finds a program with a slightly lower per-credit tuition at a university in Colorado. It looks like a better deal, but she discovers it's a low residency program requiring a 1-week, on-campus intensive every semester. Now she has to budget for 4 round-trip flights from Portland to Denver each year, plus lodging. She also has to use up all of her paid vacation time from work for these trips. In her second year, she has to take a week of unpaid leave to attend, which means she loses a week's wages. By the time she graduates, Maria, who chose the cheaper school, may have spent thousands more than David when you factor in travel and lost income. The lesson here is that the sticker price of an online degree is just one piece of a much larger financial puzzle. You have to investigate your specific program of interest like a detective. You need to account for program-specific fees, technology and equipment requirements, and understand the true financial implications of the delivery model, asynchronous, synchronous, or hybrid. Only after you've calculated this all-in cost for a specific program can you begin to effectively compare it to another. This level of detailed, personal research is what separates students who graduate with manageable finances from those who are blindsided by unexpected costs. And it's the crucial step you must take before you can truly start leveraging the cost differences between states. So let's pull back the curtain. Let's talk about the single biggest misconception that costs online students thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. It's the belief that online means one price for everyone. That if you're learning from your laptop in Ohio, you'll pay the same as someone learning from their laptop in Oregon for the same exact program. For many public universities, this is simply not true. Public universities were founded with a primary mission: to serve the taxpayers of their state. That's why in-state tuition is so much lower for on-campus students. The state subsidizes the cost for its residents. And for a long time, that same logic was applied to their online offerings. A student from outside the state was an out-of-state student, period. The university would charge them a massive premium, even if that student never set foot on campus, never used the gym, and never checked out a book from the library. It was a cash cow, and for some schools it still is. They see an online student from another state as a source of revenue, charging them double or even triple the in-state rate for the exact same digital lectures, the same online portal, and the same degree. But then, something revolutionary happened. A quiet, bureaucratic-sounding agreement that completely changed the game. It's called SARA, the State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement. Now stay with me because this isn't boring policy talk. This is the key that unlocks the entire national marketplace of online education for you. Before SARA, a university in, say, North Carolina, would have to get individual approval from the education boards of all 49 other states just to enroll a single student from each one. It was a nightmare of red tape and expenses. SARA created a single set of standards. If a university in a SARA state is approved, it's automatically authorized to enroll students from any other SARA state. Think of it as an educational passport. It blew the doors wide open for both students and universities. This new, national competition forced universities to adapt. The smartest ones realized that charging a student in Idaho a $30,000 out-of-state premium for an online degree, when a student in-state was paying $10,000, was no longer a sustainable model. Why would that Idaho student enroll when another great university in a different state might offer them a much better deal? So a new model emerged: the flat rate for online students. Sometimes called an E-rate or a distance learning tuition. This is where the magic happens. A university says, "We don't care if you live next door or across the country. If you are in our online program, you pay this one single competitive rate." This is the strategy that can save you a fortune. It uncouples the price of your education from the zip code you live in. Let's make this real. Meet a hypothetical student, we'll call him Alex. Alex lives in California, where the cost of living is high, and so is tuition, even for online programs at state schools. The local Cal State online business program is going to cost Alex about $800 per credit hour as an in-state resident. Over a full degree, that's a significant investment. But Alex, having done the kind of research we're talking about, starts looking nationally. Alex discovers Arizona State University's online program. ASU is a pioneer in this space. They offer a huge catalog of online degrees and have structured their tuition so that online undergraduate students pay the same rate, regardless of residency. Suddenly, Alex is looking at a cost closer to $600 per credit hour. That might not sound like a huge difference at first, but let's do the math. Over a full 120 credit bachelor's degree, that's a savings of nearly $24,000. For the same type of accredited degree, all because Alex understood that the geography of online education has fundamentally changed. Alex wasn't trapped by state lines. This principle applies across the country. You might find a fantastic program at the University of Florida's UF Online, which touts its affordability and has one of the lowest tuition rates in the country for online students, irrespective of their location. Or you might look at a school like Western Governors University, a nonprofit online university with a unique competency-based model where you pay a flat rate per 6-month term. Their pricing is completely independent of where you live. The student in rural Montana pays the same as the student in downtown Manhattan. This is the power of a national educational marketplace. But, and this is a huge but, it's not always that simple. You have to understand the exceptions. Let's look at another hypothetical student, Maria, in Texas. She wants to become a registered nurse through an online RN to BSN program. She finds an incredible, low-cost program based out of a university in Wyoming. Seems perfect. The tuition is a fraction of her local options. But here's the catch. Nursing, like teaching, social work, and counseling, is a licensed profession. The rules for getting a license are not set by the university. They are set by each individual state's licensing board. Maria's program in Wyoming likely has clinical requirements, hands-on training that has to be completed in person. The Wyoming University might not have agreements with hospitals or clinics in Texas for her to complete those hours. Even more critically, the specific curriculum of the Wyoming program might not meet the strict requirements of the Texas Board of Nursing. So, while the tuition was low, the degree might not actually allow her to get a license to work in her home state. This is the critical exception to the SARA passport. Professional licensure programs are the one area where your physical location still matters immensely. SARA makes it easier for schools to operate across state lines, but it does not override the authority of state professional licensing boards. For these specific fields, you must put on your investigator hat. Your first stop should not be the university's website, but the website for your state's licensing board. Find out exactly what they require. Then, and only then, can you vet online programs to see if they meet those requirements and are explicitly authorized to prepare students for licensure in your specific state. Ignoring this can lead to a very expensive and very useless degree. So what's the ultimate takeaway here? For the vast majority of degrees in fields like business, communications, liberal arts, history, computer science, information technology, the United States is no longer 50 separate markets for online education. It is one giant competitive marketplace. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the universities that have embraced this new reality. The ones that have stopped thinking in terms of in-state and out-of-state for their online divisions, and started thinking in terms of offering a single competitive national rate. You are looking for value, not just proximity. Your physical address is becoming less and less relevant to the price you pay for a quality online education. This fundamentally shifts how you should build your college list. You're no longer just looking at schools in your county or your state. You are a national free agent, able to pick and choose from the best value programs across the entire country. But this freedom opens up a new set of questions. How do you actually compare a well-known state school in Florida to a lesser-known but highly rated online program in the Midwest? How do you sort through the glossy marketing and find the real all-in-cost hidden fees and all? That's where we need to dig into the anatomy of a university's tuition page and learn to spot the red flags that signal a much higher price tag than what's being advertised. Let's pull back the curtain. The first thing you'll see on any university's website is the sticker price. This is usually a per credit hour cost. It's the big, bold number designed to be compared easily. A school in Florida might say $212 per credit hour, while a private university in California might say $550 per credit hour. On the surface, the choice seems obvious, but this number is often the beginning of a financial rabbit hole, not the end. It's the base of the pyramid, and we need to look at what's being built on top of it. The most critical skill you can develop in this process is learning to differentiate between the sticker price and the net price. The net price is what you actually write the check for. It's the sticker price plus a whole host of mandatory fees, and then minus any grants or scholarships you receive. For now, let's focus on the first part of that equation. The sticker price plus all those sneaky, often hidden fees. So you've landed on the tuition and fees page. Your first mission is to scroll right past that big, friendly per credit number. Ignore it for a moment. Instead, look for a link, often in small print, that says something like detailed fee schedule, cost of attendance breakdown, or mandatory fees. This is where the real story is told. If you can't find it easily, that's your first red flag. Transparency is key, and a university that buries its fee structure is not operating in your best interest. Once you find that schedule, you're going to see a list of charges that can feel overwhelming. Let's break down the most common culprits one by one. First, the technology fee. This is almost universal for online programs. Universities argue this fee covers the cost of the learning management system, the online portal where you access your classes, as well as tech support and other digital infrastructure. This can be a flat fee per semester, say $150, or it can be charged per credit hour, maybe $10 to $25 per credit. So, if you're taking a full 12 credit load, that could be an extra $300 right there just for the privilege of accessing the online classroom. Next, and this is a big one, is the program fee or differential tuition. This is one of the most significant ways the advertised price can mislead you. Many universities charge a higher rate for specific, high-demand programs. Nursing, engineering, computer science, and business are the usual suspects. So, the university might advertise a base rate of $300 per credit hour. But if you enroll in their highly ranked online MBA program, you might get hit with an additional business program fee of $100 per credit hour. Suddenly, your cost is 33% higher than you thought. Always check if your specific major or program of interest carries its own special price tag. Then you have the gauntlet of smaller but still significant fees. There's the online proctoring fee. To maintain academic integrity, many online exams require you to be monitored through your webcam by a third-party service. The university often passes this cost directly to you. It might be a flat fee for the semester, or it could be a per-exam charge, ranging from $15 to $30 for each major test. If you have 4 or 5 classes, this can add another $100 or more to your bill. Don't forget the student services fee, or, even more confusingly for online students, the student activity fee. You might be thinking, I live 1,000 miles from campus, what activities am I paying for? The university's rationale is that this fee supports services available to all students, including online ones, like career services, online library access, and academic advising. While some of that is legitimate, it's a fee that often feels disconnected from the online experience. It's a mandatory charge you need to factor in, regardless of whether you'll ever use the rock climbing wall. And we're not done. There's the one-time application fee, just to be considered, and its evil twin, the graduation fee, which you have to pay at the end of your journey to actually receive your diploma. It feels like paying a cover charge to enter a party and then another fee to be allowed to leave. Finally, we have the giant variable, textbooks and course materials. This isn't technically a fee charged by the university, but it's a mandatory cost of attendance. Some schools are fantastic and heavily utilize Open Educational Resources, or OER, which are free digital textbooks. If you see a university promoting its use of OER, that is a massive green flag. On the other end of the spectrum, some courses, especially in tech or design fields, might require you to purchase expensive software licenses or access codes for online homework platforms, which can cost hundreds of dollars per class. A school's official cost of attendance page should give an estimate for books and supplies, but treat it as a conservative baseline. So, how do you put this all together and avoid getting blindsided? You become a cost detective. You build your own spreadsheet. Let's run a hypothetical scenario. You're looking at Digital State University. The website proudly displays $375 per credit hour. You plan to take a standard full-time load of 4 classes, which is 12 credit hours. Your initial calculation is simple. 12 credits times $375 equals $4,500 for the semester. Manageable. But now you put on your detective hat. You find the detailed fee schedule. First, you spot a technology fee of $20 per credit hour. That's 12 credits times $20, which adds $240. Next, you see your major, computer science, has a College of Engineering and Tech differential of an extra $55 per credit hour. That's 12 credits times $55, which is a whopping $660 extra. Then there's a flat student services fee of $250 per semester. You estimate you'll have 4 proctored exams at $25 each, so that's another $100. Let's add it up. The base tuition was $4,500, plus the $240 tech fee, plus the $660 program fee, plus the $250 student services fee, plus the $100 for proctoring. Your new total for the semester isn't $4,500. It's $5,750. That's an increase of over 27% from the advertised sticker price. Over the course of an 8-semester degree, that's a difference of $10,000. That is not pocket change. It's the difference between a manageable education and a crushing debt load. This brings us to one of the most important red flags of all, especially when comparing state schools: the distinction between in-state and out-of-state tuition for online students. There's a common and dangerous misconception that for an online program, your physical location doesn't matter. That is often not true. Many public state universities, even for their 100% online programs, still charge a significantly higher tuition rate for students who live outside their state borders. Their primary mission is to educate the citizens of their state, and that's reflected in their funding and pricing models. So that attractive $212 per credit rate at a Florida public university might only apply if you are a resident of Florida. If you live in Texas, you might be looking at a rate of $700 or more per credit hour for the exact same online class, from the exact same professor. Some states have created what are called academic common markets, or reciprocity agreements, where a group of states agree to offer in-state or reduced tuition to each other's residents for certain programs. But navigating these agreements can be complex. The golden rule is simple. Never assume a state school's low advertised price applies to you if you live out of state. You must find the specific out-of-state or non-resident tuition rate, and that includes looking for an out-of-state version of all those fees we just discussed. Some schools simplify this by offering a single flat tuition rate for all online students regardless of location, which is a major green flag for transparency. The bottom line is that you have to be your own advocate. You have to be willing to dig, to question, and to build your own financial picture of what a degree will truly cost. Don't let the glossy marketing numbers be your only guide. The real cost is in the details, buried in the fee schedules and residency requirements. Now that we understand how to calculate the true all-in cost of a program, the next logical question is, how on earth do you lower that number? Finding the real price is only half the battle. The other half is chipping away at it. And that means diving headfirst into the world of financial aid, grants, and scholarships. A world with its own unique rules and opportunities specifically for online learners. And learning to navigate that system is where the real savings can be found. Let's start with a common myth, that online students are somehow on the outside looking in when it comes to financial aid. That the big scholarships and grants are reserved for students living in ivy-covered dorms on a traditional campus. That is fundamentally untrue. In reality, the vast majority of financial aid is tied not to your location, but to your eligibility, your enrollment status, and your chosen institution. And for online students, this opens up a universe of possibilities. The absolute non-negotiable starting point for every single student, online or on campus, is the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Think of this as the master key that unlocks the entire financial aid system. Filling out the FAFSA is what makes you eligible for the big federal programs like the Pell Grant, which is free money you don't have to pay back, and federal direct loans, which typically have more favorable terms than private loans. Many people, especially adult learners, assume they won't qualify for federal aid because they have a job or some savings. You must file anyway. Why? Because hundreds of universities and even state governments won't even consider you for their own institutional or state-level grants unless you have a FAFSA on file. They use the data from your FAFSA to determine your financial need. Skipping it is like refusing to even enter the stadium and then wondering why you didn't win the game. For online students, it's crucial to pay attention to your enrollment status, whether you're full-time, half-time, or less than half-time, as this directly impacts the amount of federal aid you can receive each semester. Once that FAFSA is filed, the next layer of funding opens up: state-specific grants. This is where your physical residency, the state you actually live in, becomes a massive financial advantage, even if you're attending school entirely online. Many states have incredible programs designed to keep their residents educated and employed in-state, and these benefits often extend to students at in-state public online universities. Take California, for example. The California College Promise Grant can waive tuition fees for eligible residents at any California community college. With so many community colleges offering robust online associate degree programs that provide a seamless transfer path to a 4-year university, this strategy can effectively eliminate the cost of your first 2 years of college, all from your home office. Or look at New York's Excelsior Scholarship, which has made headlines for its tuition-free degree promise for middle-class families at all public SUNY and CUNY colleges. This applies to eligible online degree programs as well. Now there are strings attached. You have to be a resident, meet certain income criteria, and agree to live and work in New York for a period after graduation. But for a New Yorker planning to stay put, it's a potential game changer. Then you have states like Tennessee with its lottery-funded Hope Scholarship, or Georgia's Hope and Zell Miller Scholarships. These are primarily merit-based, but provide significant funding for residents attending eligible in-state institutions, including their online divisions. The lesson here is critical. Before you even look at a university's sticker price, you need to become an expert on your own state's Department of Education website. Find out what grants and scholarships you are entitled to simply by being a resident. It's one of the most overlooked but powerful cost-cutting tools available. The third layer is institutional aid. This is money that comes directly from the university itself. Public or private, almost every school has its own pool of funds to award to students they want to attract. And yes, they absolutely want to attract dedicated online students. This aid typically falls into two buckets. First, there are merit-based scholarships. These are for students with strong academic records, special talents, or other achievements. If you were a great student in high school or at a previous college, you should be actively searching the university's website for scholarships that reward that hard work. Don't assume they're only for on-campus freshmen. The second bucket is need-based grants. This is where the university uses your FAFSA information to see the gap between what federal and state aid covers and what you can afford. They then use their own funds to try and bridge that gap. Let's imagine a scenario. You're a working parent in Florida looking at the University of Florida's acclaimed online programs. You file your FAFSA. That makes you eligible for a Pell Grant. Then, because you're a Florida resident, you might qualify for the Florida Bright Future Scholarship or the Effective Access to Student Education Grant. But you don't stop there. You go to UF's financial aid page and discover they have specific grants for non-traditional students or scholarships dedicated to your specific major, like engineering or business. You are now layering your aid federal, then state, then institutional. This is how you systematically take a high sticker price and shrink it down to something manageable. The fourth layer is the wild, wonderful world of private scholarships. This is money from companies, nonprofits, foundations, and community groups. The sheer volume can feel overwhelming, but the key is strategy. Do not just go to a search engine and type in scholarships. You'll be buried. Instead, you have to niche down. Think about what makes you unique. Are you pursuing a degree in a high-demand field like nursing or cybersecurity? There are countless professional organizations and companies offering scholarships to build that talent pipeline. Are you a single parent? A first-generation college student? A military veteran? There are scholarships specifically for you. Search based on your major, your career goals, your heritage, your community service, even your hobbies. And please, get rid of the idea that you're only looking for a full-ride scholarship. Those are incredibly rare. The real magic happens in accumulation. Winning 5 different $1,000 scholarships is just as valuable as winning one $5,000 scholarship, and those smaller awards are often far less competitive. That money can be the difference that pays for your textbooks, your new laptop, your proctoring fees, or your high-speed internet for the year, preserving your savings and reducing your reliance on loans. Use reputable free search tools like those on FastWeb, scholarships.com, or the College Board's website. And a crucial warning: you should never ever have to pay to apply for a scholarship. If a service asks for a fee, it's almost certainly a scam. Finally, as an online learner, you have access to a few unique funding avenues that traditional students might not. The biggest one is employer tuition assistance. Since many online students are already in the workforce, this is a massive opportunity. Companies, from massive corporations to small businesses, often set aside money to help their employees gain new skills and degrees. It's a benefit for them; they get a more skilled workforce, and a monumental benefit for you. Talk to your HR department. Find out if they have a program. Sometimes they'll pay a certain amount per year, and other times they might reimburse you for passing your classes with a certain grade. This alone can slash your out-of-pocket costs by tens of thousands of dollars. This entire process, from FAFSA to state grants to private scholarships, is about changing your mindset. You're not just a student applying for admission. You're a project manager assembling the funding for your own education. Each piece of aid you secure is a victory that lowers your overall cost and reduces the financial burden you'll carry after graduation. But once you have those award letters in hand, the sticker price becomes irrelevant. What matters is the net price, the real amount you'll have to pay. And that number can still hold some surprises, because not all online university fees are created equal. In fact, some of them are hiding in plain sight. Let's start with the most common culprit, the technology fee. It sounds reasonable, right? You're using their online platform, their servers, their digital infrastructure. It makes sense that you chip in for maintenance. But this is where the Wild West of college pricing truly begins. For some schools, it's a flat $50 a semester. Manageable. For others, it's calculated per credit hour. Take a full course load of 15 credits at $20 per credit, and you've just added $300 to your bill. Per semester, that's $600 a year for the privilege of logging in. Suddenly, that affordable tuition doesn't seem so affordable. It's like buying a plane ticket and then being charged a separate engine usage fee. You can't fly without it, so it should be part of the ticket price. But by separating it, the initial price looks much more attractive. And then there's a fee so specific, so insidious, that most students don't even know it exists until the bill arrives: the proctoring fee. To maintain academic integrity, many online exams require a proctor, someone or something that watches you to make sure you're not cheating. In a physical classroom, that's the professor walking around. Online, it's often a software that uses your webcam and microphone, or even a live person watching you remotely. And many universities pass the cost of this service directly onto you. It could be $10 to $30 per exam. If you have 5 classes with a midterm and a final, that's 10 proctored exams. At $20 a pop, you've just spent an extra $200 that was never mentioned on the main tuition page. It's a textbook example of a death by 1,000 cuts financial strategy. This isn't just about general education either. If you're studying a STEM field or nursing or anything that requires a lab, get ready for the online lab or simulation fee. Universities have invested in sophisticated virtual lab software that lets you conduct experiments or practice clinical skills from your laptop. It's incredible technology, but it's not free. These fees can add another $100 to $200 per course. Again, it's a legitimate cost for the school, but the lack of transparency is the problem. It's buried deep in the course catalog, not on the flashy admissions page promising a low flat-rate tuition. The final ghost in the machine is the rise of so-called inclusive access programs, which are really just mandatory digital resource fees. Here's how it works. The university partners with publishers and automatically provides all your required digital textbooks and course materials on the first day of class. Then they add the cost directly to your tuition bill. They sell it as a convenience and a cost-saving measure, claiming they get bulk discounts. And sometimes that's true, but it also removes your ability to shop around. You can't buy a used copy. You can't rent it from a cheaper service. You can't borrow it from the library. You are locked into their price. And you're often automatically opted in, meaning you have to navigate a confusing portal to opt out by a strict deadline if you find a cheaper option. Many students don't even realize they have a choice until it's too late. So how does this play out across the country? Because the way states and their university systems handle these fees reveals a deep philosophical difference in how they view online education. Let's look at a few models. First, you have what we can call the all-inclusive resort model, popular with some large centralized state university systems, particularly in the Midwest and parts of the Northeast. A school like Purdue Global or Penn State World Campus often tries to bundle everything into a single per-credit hour cost. Their sticker price might seem higher at first glance. You might see a rate of, say, $400 per credit hour and compare it to another school advertising just $300. But what the all-inclusive school is doing is folding the technology fees, the online resource fees, and sometimes even the proctoring fees into that single number. The major benefit here is predictability. You know exactly what you're going to pay. There are no nasty surprises waiting for you when the final bill comes due. It allows for precise financial planning. The downside? You're paying for everything, even the services you might not use heavily. But for many, the peace of mind is worth it. On the opposite end of the spectrum is the a la carte model. We see this frequently in states with more decentralized university systems, common in parts of the South and the West. Here, the advertised base tuition is incredibly low, designed to grab your attention and get you in the door. A public university in, for example, Texas or North Carolina, might advertise a base tuition for online students that is shockingly competitive. But then the menu of fees begins. There's a mandatory distance learning fee of $50 per semester. Then, a student services fee of $15 per credit hour. If you're in the business school, there's a differential tuition fee that adds another $40 per credit hour. Need to take a science class? That's a $75 lab fee. By the time you've built your schedule, the actual cost per credit hour is nearly double what was advertised. It's a frustrating, exhausting process that can feel deeply misleading. It penalizes students who don't have the time or knowledge to dig through pages of fine print. Then there's the most complex model, the out-of-state illusion. Many public online universities proudly declare they have the same tuition rate for all students, regardless of residency. This is a huge selling point. A student in California can attend a school in Florida online for the same low price as a Florida resident. Or so it seems. But dig into the fee schedule, and you might find a non-resident online fee, or a distance education surcharge, that applies only to students living outside the state. It's not technically out-of-state tuition, which allows them to maintain their marketing claim, but it has the exact same effect. It creates a two-tiered pricing system. A great example of this is the University of Florida's online program, which has a base tuition and then a separate distance learning fee that can vary. It's crucial for non-resident students to look beyond the headlines and find that detailed fee schedule. So, how do you protect yourself? How do you become the person who sees these costs coming a mile away? You need to conduct what I call a fee audit. It's not complicated, but it takes a little bit of detective work. First, ignore the admissions page. I mean it. That page is marketing. It's designed to give you a simple, appealing number. Instead, you need to find the university's official bursar's office, or Student Financial Services, website. This is the office that actually handles the money, and they are legally required to post the detailed breakdown of all costs. Second, on that website, search for a document called the Tuition and Fee Schedule for the current academic year. This document is your treasure map. It will be a dense PDF, probably with a lot of columns in small print, but everything you need is in there. Third, learn to read this schedule. Look for mandatory fees that apply to all students. Look for fees that are charged per credit hour versus per semester. Scan for program-specific fees or differential tuition for your intended major. And finally, look for a section on other fees, which is where you'll find things like proctoring or late payment charges. Create a simple spreadsheet. In the first column, list the schools you're considering. Then create columns for base tuition per credit, tech fee per credit, student services fee per semester, and any program-specific fees. Do the math for a full-time semester, say 12 or 15 credits. This simple exercise will transform you from a passive applicant into a savvy consumer. The school with the lowest advertised tuition might end up being hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars more expensive per year once the hidden costs are brought into the light. This isn't about finding the absolute cheapest option. It's about finding the true cost so you can make an informed decision. It's about ensuring the investment you're making is transparent and predictable. Because once you've calculated the net price, and you've audited the hidden fees, you finally have a real hard number. But what does that number actually buy you? A degree from a public university in Texas might cost the same as one from a private college in New England, but the value proposition, the career services, the alumni network, that's an entirely different calculation. And in some states, that network is worth its weight in gold. Let's talk about that gold. What does a powerful alumni network actually look like, especially for an online student who might never set foot on the quad? It looks like a reply to a cold email on LinkedIn. It looks like a referral that pushes your resume to the top of a stack of 500 applicants. It looks like an instant bond of trust with an interviewer who sees their alma mater on your degree and says, "Oh, you went there too?" Suddenly, you're not just another applicant. You're part of the club, and the location of that clubhouse matters immensely. Consider the East Coast Power Corridor. A state like Massachusetts isn't just home to prestigious universities. It's a hub for biotech, finance, and education. An online degree from a school within the UMass system, like UMass Amherst, isn't just a credential. It's a key that can potentially unlock doors in Boston. The alumni network is woven into the very fabric of the city's professional landscape. So while the in-state tuition for a Massachusetts resident might be a fantastic deal, an out-of-state student paying a premium for that same online degree is making a calculated bet. They're betting on the power of that network to land them a job in a high-paying market. They're not just buying classes, they're buying access. The same principle applies in New York with its massive SUNY and CUNY systems, or in Pennsylvania with Penn State's World Campus, one of the oldest and largest online universities in the country. A Penn State degree, earned from your living room in Arizona, still screams Happy Valley to a massive, loyal, and professionally accomplished network concentrated in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and up and down the eastern seaboard. The cost difference between that and a degree from a lesser-known regional school might be $10,000 or $20,000, but the difference in networking potential could be tenfold. Now let's fly across the country to the West Coast, California and Washington. We're talking about the global epicenter of technology. Here, the value of a network is measured in venture capital, startup equity, and access to innovation. an online master's degree in computer science or data analytics from a school like the University of Southern California, or a specialized certificate from a University of California extension program like Berkeley's or UCLA's, carries an undeniable weight. These aren't just names, they are ecosystems. The alumni aren't just former students. They're founders, principal engineers at Google, project managers at Amazon, and venture capitalists on Sand Hill Road. A student in Idaho completing a USC online engineering degree is tapping into a live, pulsating network that could lead to an internship or a job offer in Silicon Valley or Seattle. The premium paid for that out-of-state, online tuition is a direct investment in proximity, not physical proximity, but professional proximity to the heart of the tech industry. The state a university is in determines its natural sphere of influence. For California schools, that influence radiates throughout the entire Pacific Rim. But it's a mistake to think the only valuable networks are on the coasts. Let's look at the Midwest. States like Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio are the backbone of American engineering, manufacturing, and logistics. A Big Ten university network is a force of nature. Think about Purdue University's online programs. Purdue is a global brand in engineering and technology. An online degree from Purdue gives you a stamp of approval that is recognized and respected in every single automotive company in Detroit, every aerospace firm in the Midwest, and every major manufacturing plant in the country. The same goes for the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, whose online computer science and business programs are legendary. Their alumni are deeply embedded in the corporate structure of Chicago, a major global financial and business hub. When you enroll in one of these online programs, you're not just getting access to lectures and assignments. You're gaining entry into a century-old club of influence that dominates the entire region. The cost analysis here is fascinating. The sticker price for an out-of-state student might seem high compared to a local option, but if your career goal is to work in a specific Midwest-dominated industry, that degree could offer a much more direct and supported pathway. And we can't ignore the Southern surge. States like Texas, North Carolina, and Georgia are experiencing explosive economic growth. The University of Texas system, particularly UT Austin, has a network that is practically a shadow government in the state, with unparalleled influence in energy, tech, and business. An online MBA from a Texas school can be an immediate launchpad into the booming job markets of Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Then you have North Carolina's Research Triangle Park, a nexus of technology and research fueled by Duke University, UNC Chapel Hill, and NC State. An online degree in a STEM field from one of these institutions instantly connects you to one of the most dynamic innovation hubs in the world. In Georgia, Georgia Tech's online master's in computer science is famous for being both incredibly rigorous and remarkably affordable, but its hidden value is the direct pipeline it provides into Atlanta's burgeoning tech and logistics scene. In these states, the investment isn't just in a brand, it's in a region. You're buying a share in the economic future of some of the fastest-growing parts of the country. This brings us to a crucial, often overlooked factor in your cost calculation: the university's career services for online students. This is where the rubber meets the road. A low-cost online program from a university in a state with a less dynamic economy might offer very little in this department. You get your degree and you're on your own. But a top-tier state university, even for its online students, might offer a dedicated career services department with counselors who specialize in your field. They might host virtual career fairs where you can interact directly with recruiters from Fortune 500 companies who specifically target their students. They might have a sophisticated job board packed with exclusive listings. They might offer resume workshops, mock interviews, and access to powerful alumni databases that let you search for graduates in your target company and city. This is a tangible asset. Before you enroll, you need to investigate this. Call the admissions office. Better yet, call the career services office directly. Ask them, what specific resources do you provide for online students? How many companies recruit directly from your online programs? Can you connect me with an alum in my field who completed the program online? Their answers will tell you everything. A vague, unhelpful response is a major red flag. A detailed, enthusiastic response, complete with success stories and specific examples, tells you that part of your tuition is funding a powerful career launching machine. The state where this machine is located dictates which companies it has the strongest relationships with. A university in Florida will have deep ties to the hospitality, tourism, and aerospace industries. A university in Iowa will have incredible connections in agriculture and insurance. This regional specialization is a critical piece of the puzzle. If you want to work in a specific industry, it often makes sense to look at online programs from universities in the states that dominate that industry, even if it costs more. The cost of the degree is a one-time expense, but the career it launches is a lifetime of earnings. So the calculation becomes infinitely more complex than just comparing tuition rates. It's a multivariable equation. You have the base tuition, the state residency discounts, the institutional aid, and the state-specific grants. That's one side of the ledger. On the other side, you have the brand recognition of the university, the economic dynamism of the state it resides in, the strength and geographic concentration of its alumni network, and the robustness of its career services for online students. An online degree from Florida might be cheaper on paper than one from Virginia for an out-of-state student. But if the Virginia Schools Network places hundreds of graduates into high-paying government and contracting jobs in the Washington, D.C. area every year, and that's your career goal, the higher upfront costs could represent a far better long-term investment. This is the strategic mindset you need to adopt. You're not just a student choosing a school. You're an investor allocating capital, your time and your money, into an asset that you expect to generate a return for the next 40 years. The state matters. The network matters. The brand matters. Ignoring these soft factors is like buying a car based only on the price without ever checking the engine. You might save some money today, but you could end up stranded on the side of the road tomorrow. So you've seen the raw costs, you understand the state-by-state subsidies, and now you know about the intangible value of networks and career services. But how do you put it all together for your unique situation? How do you build your own personal college cost-benefit analysis? What are the final non-negotiable questions you must ask yourself before you click enroll and commit tens, or even hundreds, of thousands of dollars to a decision that will shape the rest of your professional life? First, ask yourself, what is the true all-in no-hidden surprises cost of this degree? We've spent this entire series dissecting tuition, the massive number that dominates every university website. But tuition is just the headline. The real story is in the fine print. You need to become a financial detective. Dig into the university's bursar or student accounts page and hunt for the mandatory fees that apply specifically to online students. Is there a technology fee of several $100s per semester? Is there a distance learning fee tacked onto every single credit hour? These can add thousands of dollars to your bill over the course of a degree. Then consider program-specific costs. Many business, nursing, or computer science programs require you to use specific software. Does the university provide it? Or is that another $1,000 subscription you have to buy? What about proctoring services for exams? Some schools use online services like ProctorU, which can charge you $20 to $30 per exam. If you're taking a full course load, that can be hundreds of dollars a year just to prove you're not cheating. And don't forget about textbooks. The promise of digital isn't always cheaper. Some programs now require you to buy access codes for online portals that can cost just as much as a physical book. But with one crucial difference. You can't resell them at the end of the semester. Your total cost isn't the sticker price. It's the sticker price plus every single one of these ancillary costs. Create a spreadsheet and don't stop until you have a real number down to the dollar for every single school on your list. Second, and this may be the most important question of all, what is the university's accreditation, and is it the right kind of accreditation? This sounds like boring administrative jargon, but I assure you it can be the difference between a degree that opens doors and a piece of paper that's functionally worthless. In the United States, there are two main types of institutional accreditation: regional and national. For decades, regional accreditation has been considered the gold standard. The 6 regional accrediting bodies hold universities to a very high, rigorous standard. Think of your big state universities, your Ivy Leagues, they are all regionally accredited. National accreditation is different. It often focuses on vocational or technical schools. Now, this doesn't automatically mean a nationally accredited school is bad, but it creates potential problems. Many regionally accredited universities will not accept transfer credits from nationally accredited ones. Many graduate programs, especially at the doctoral level, will not recognize a bachelor's degree from a nationally accredited institution. And some employers, particularly in traditional fields like education or government, may flat out prefer or even require a degree from a regionally accredited university. For an online degree where the reputation is built on trust and standards, this is non-negotiable. Go to the university's website, scroll all the way to the bottom, and look for their accreditation statement. If you can't find it easily, that's a massive red flag. If you do find it, Google the accrediting agency. Is it one of the 6 major regional bodies? If the answer is no, you need to have a very good reason to proceed, because you may be limiting your future options before you've even started. Third, what is the support system really like for a student who will never set foot on campus? Many traditional universities have simply bolted on an online division without fundamentally changing how they operate. They're built for the 19-year-old living in a dorm, not the 35-year-old single parent logging on after their kids are asleep. You need to probe this. Don't just accept the glossy brochure language about robust student support. Ask specific, pointed questions. Is there a dedicated academic advisor specifically for online students in your major? And can you schedule a video call with them before you enroll? What are the hours for technical support? If your final paper is due at midnight on a Sunday and the learning portal crashes, is there someone you can call? Or are you on your own until Monday morning? And what about career services? This is huge. Do they offer virtual career fairs, online resume workshops, and mock interviews over Zoom? Will they help you connect with alumni in your city, even if it's thousands of miles from campus? A great online program invests as much in its remote student support infrastructure as it does in its on-campus equivalent. A mediocre one sees you as a revenue stream and leaves you to fend for yourself in the digital wilderness. The quality of this support system will directly impact your ability to not just finish the degree, but to actually leverage it into a better career. Fourth, on a related note, how strong and accessible is the alumni network for an online graduate? One of the most valuable assets you gain from a university isn't the diploma, it's the network. It's the instant connection you have with tens of thousands of people who share a common experience. But for online students, this can feel distant and abstract. So you have to investigate. Go on LinkedIn. Use the platform's alumni search tool. Look up the university and filter for people who work in your target industry and live in your target city. Are there a lot of them? Are they in senior positions? This is a real-time indicator of the school's influence in your professional world. Then, look at the university's official alumni association. Do they host virtual networking events? Do they have a mentorship program that explicitly includes and encourages participation from online graduates? A university that truly values its online programs will make a concerted effort to integrate you into the full life and community of the institution. They understand that your career success is their best marketing tool. If their alumni engagement feels like an afterthought for anyone not living near campus, you have to ask yourself how much value that network will truly provide you 5 or 10 years down the road. And the fifth and final question: what is the verifiable, data-driven, post-graduation outcome for my specific online program? Notice the keywords there. Specific online program. Many universities will happily show you impressive employment statistics for the university as a whole. But that data is often heavily skewed by their flagship on-campus programs, like engineering or the business school. That data is irrelevant to you. You need to know what happens to the people who graduated from the online psychology program or the online master's in project management. Legally, under federal gainful employment regulations, schools are often required to track and disclose this data, but they don't always make it easy to find. Be persistent. Ask the admissions counselor for the job placement rate, the average starting salary, and a list of top employers for graduates of your online program within 6 months of graduation. If they can't or won't provide it, that is the biggest red flag of all. It suggests one of two things. Either they aren't tracking it, which indicates a profound lack of concern for student outcomes, or they are tracking it, and the results are so poor they don't want you to see them. A confident, high-quality program will be proud of its graduates' success, and will have that data ready to share. Your degree is an investment, and this data is your prospectus. Without it, you're investing blind. So as we pull back and look at the entire landscape we've explored, from the surprising affordability of certain programs in states like Florida and Georgia, to the high-cost, high-prestige options in California and the Northeast, to the unique regional packs that blur state lines, a clear picture emerges. The old logic of in-state is cheap, out-of-state is expensive, is being completely rewritten by the world of online education. The most important factor is no longer your physical address, but your diligence as a researcher. The best deal isn't always the lowest sticker price. It's the program that delivers the highest return on your investment of time, money, and effort. This brings us to the final personal equation. Beyond the spreadsheets and the statistics, you have to align this decision with your life. A self-paced, asynchronous program in a state halfway across the country might be the absolute perfect fit for a working professional with a family. But that same program might be a terrible choice for a recent high school graduate who needs the structure and community of synchronous, scheduled classes. Don't just ask, "Can I afford this?" Ask, "How does this program fit into the life I actually live? And how will it help me build the life I want to have?" A degree that costs $10,000 more, but has a world-renowned reputation in your niche field, could have a return on investment that is 10 times greater than the cheaper, generic alternative. The cost isn't just the money you pay. It's also the opportunities you gain, or lose. So here is your final action plan. 1. Build your master spreadsheet. List every school you're considering. Create columns for every single data point we've discussed. Total tuition, all-in fees, accreditation type, program format, and that all-important program-specific outcome data. 2. Become an investigator. Use LinkedIn to find at least 2 current students or recent alumni from your top 3 programs and reach out. Ask them for 10 minutes of their time. Ask them about the real student experience, the quality of the professors, the responsiveness of the support staff. Their candid answers will be worth more than any marketing brochure. And 3. Treat the financial aid process as a diagnostic tool. Fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, no matter what. It will force you to get a clear picture of your financial situation and will unlock potential grants and scholarships you never knew existed. This journey, the decision to pursue higher education online, is one of the most significant you will ever undertake. It's a testament to your ambition, your discipline, and your belief in a better future. The sheer number of options can feel paralyzing, and the financial stakes are higher than ever. But by asking the right questions, by looking past the marketing and digging for the real data, you transform from a passive consumer into an empowered architect of your own career. The best online university in America doesn't have a single name or a single location. The best one is the one that sits at the perfect intersection of your budget, your career goals, and your life. It's the one that respects your investment and delivers a tangible return. The right education is never an expense. It is the single greatest investment you can make in yourself. Now go build your future.